We've talked about the Oscars coming, so we wanted to focus on here are the best LGBTQ plus movies of the 2000s so far. The LGBTQ plus community has been represented in films since it began over 100 years ago. However, the depictions of LGBTQ plus community have not always been flattering due to equal parts to historic censorship and systemic prejudice.
After the Stonewall Riots in 1969, which were instrumental in societal change, queer movies began to make their way into the mainstream in the 1970s, as the gay community was seen as a viable target market.
It wasn't until the 1990s, however, that several independent filmmakers began properly representing the queer community with engaging and empathetic stories, eventually known as the New Queer Cinema movement.
From this point onwards, society continued to progress in an upward motion, with Hollywood heavyweights even taking on queer film roles. With all that in mind, here are the best LGBTQ plus movies from the 2000s, which is a decade, by the way, Al, chosen for their impact on queer cinema.
Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain is an adaptation by Ang Lee based on Annie Proulx's original short story. It follows the story of Ennis Del Mar, the late Heath Ledger, and Jack Twist, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, a cowboy and a ranch hand who secretly fall in love while working together in the summer of 1963. It is regarded as a major milestone in gay cinema, despite its straight male leads. It is also considered the first major mainstream LGBTQ plus film.
Milk, directed by Gus Van Sant. Milk recounts the true story of Harvey Milk, America's first openly gay elected official, I believe California's first openly gay elected official, and his emblazoned battle for gay rights. The movie follows Milk as he helped to shape the community for LGBTQ people in San Francisco in the 1970s when homophobia was still rampant. Sean Penn won several awards for his brilliant performance in this critically acclaimed film.
A Single Man. Fashion designer Tom Ford's directorial debut is an incredibly stylish and emotional film based on Christopher Irshworth's novel of the same name. A Single Man tells the story of George Falconer, Colin Firth, a British university professor living in LA who becomes severely depressed after his longtime partner is killed in a car accident. Firth, despite not having many scenes, puts his scene time to good use and uplifts this otherwise sad tale, for which he was nominated for an Academy Award.
Gay cinema also rocks out. Hedwig and the Angry Inch, the rock opera, is John Cameron Mitchell's adaptation of his off-Broadway musical. It follows the story of the titular character Hedwig, played by Mitchell, an aspiring rock star pardon me, who flees from East Germany to America after a botched gender affirmation surgery. The amazing original music steals the show in this fun, campy cult classic, which is also directed, written, and stars John Cameron Mitchell's in his debut.
Crazy, directed by the late Jean-Marc Vallée. This powerful coming-of-age story is about a French-Canadian boy named Zachary, played by Marc-André Grondin, as he struggles with his budding homosexuality and the homophobia in the 60s and 70s. The film was a critically acclaimed box office success and boasts a stellar soundtrack.
Saving Face. Directed by Alice Wu, Saving Face tells the story of Wilhelmina, a Chinese-American surgeon and closeted lesbian who falls in love with a woman and must keep it a secret from her conservative mother, played by Joan Chen. The script is loosely based on Wu's personal experience of coming out to her traditional Chinese mother. Not only does it tell an LGBTQ plus love story, but it also features an all Asian American cast, which according to IndieWire, almost didn't happen.
Well, without these breakout movies, the representation we see in Hollywood now would be very different. What other movies do you think help shape the films we see today? Let us know in the comments on Facebook or YouTube.
Well, I concur with the list, absolutely, but I would add all from 2000 to 2009. I would add Big Eden, The Bubble, Mysterious Skin, 20 Centimeters, Kissing Jessica Stein, and Short Bus.
Greg, I want to ask you real quick, because you write for Rotten Tomatoes. Would the films that we talk about here being so iconic, would they all have great Rotten Tomatoes reviews, do you think?
Oh, I would say almost every single one of them is going to have high reviews. Okay. Absolutely.
Who would you add, Al? Sordid Lives. You got to put Sordid Lives in there. Come on. Like, how is it not on there? I Love You, Philip Morris. That was also a good one. And Transamerica.
Transamerica.
Those were three of mine that had needed to be on that list for sure.
And I know that we're talking about the 2000s, but I don't think Brokeback Mountain was the first foundational gay movie, maybe of the modern era. But let's not forget Philadelphia, which really set a tone.
But that's not 2000s.
No, I know. I said we're talking about 2000s, but I think Philadelphia was really a.
Well, we want to go back. We can go Bound.
Yeah.
Bound was huge. We can go The Crying Game.
Yeah.
The Crying Game, and we could go back.
Wait, we've apparently lost control.
The reason these are all so important, though, is because the 90s gay cinema was targeted towards the gay community, and the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s, it really became broad stream appeal. Brokeback Mountain was a gay story, but it wasn't for the gays. It was for everyone. And I think that's a big, like, I loved Trick from 1999. It's a great movie. Short Bus is absolutely phenomenal, and as a sex positive person, I love the storyline behind it. But these were movies that were meant for general consumption, which was very unusual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, before we move on, Faye's getting ready to take us out of the show. The one thing I will say about Brokeback Mountain is it was a broad general audience. However, it was catnip for the gay boys too. If you go back to Brokeback Mountain, a lot of people do not realize if you watch the original version of Brokeback Mountain and you're watching it on your television and you can pause, start. In that scene where they jump off the cliff into the water, they are totally naked and you see both of their penises. You go back.
Al took a nice classy story.
And all of you boys have paused it right there at that moment, haven't you? I didn't even know that.
At least a dozen times. Oh, and by the way, not so much.
Maybe you should spend more time on Pornhub. It's easier.
Today it is much easier. Exactly. All right. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+